Welcome back to Apollo Justice, and now we're moving on with the Mason system. So for now, we're leaving this wanker behind,
Right.
and moving on to the next chapter.
I should probably explain. What keeps this from feeling like a checklist to me, and essentially, the way this investigation works is you have to do certain things in the past to unlock stuff in the present, aka the future, of course. However, some stuff involves bringing evidence from the future into the past. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why this is time travel. Evidence time travels with you.
Oh.
We don't do time travel for specific reasons.
Well, we're doing it now.
What's this?
This is I figured you... Actually, that's me.
Oh, it's Drova.
I decided on sooner. Drew Misham, was it? Huh, studio looks rather different back in the day, don't it?
More busy.
I haven't done anything illegal.
Sure.
And I didn't come here to whine about past events. There's plenty more for me to do that later. I wanted to ask you some questions. You owe me that at least.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose you have that right.
Yeah, you've got that right.
That day, the entire court descended into chaos.
But you weren't there when the audience were there.
Well, of course. Well, actually, I was
Remember
there. Only you stood still, your eyes calmly watching.
Also remember, Dwibs, the most court cases are broadcasted.
Also, remember,
Not
Drew...
around here, they're not.
Also, Dwibs, Drew literally was there. It was when he gave the statement that fake evidence was his that the court went into the uproar.
They are treated like national sports.
I was there, man. I was there.
I'm used to finding myself in outrageous situations, but this was just ridiculous. Phoenix Wright, was it? I'll answer what I can. I'm not sure, but it feels like I'm being watched intensely, and not by this guy here, though he does have latent eyes. Oh.
Hello.
Ah, this is my daughter, Vera. Say hello.
Oh.
She's gone. Awfully shy little tyke, huh? Shall we begin then? Sorry, she's not nearly as stoic as Junior.
Anyway, let's talk about Mr. Misham.
Judging from this place, you're a painter.
No, I'm a deep-sea fisherman.
Not, sadly, a profitable one. I've never sold a painting.
You've got, like, one?
Yeah, but selling it. It's a source of considerable embarrassment.
No, I was just saying, he's barely got any paintings to sell anyway.
I would be able to get by, were it only me. But you see... Your daughter. An interesting theme, fathers who do a lot for their daughters.
And she's sucking on her thumb. Like,
Some kids do that.
Actually, it's biting the nail, kind of
Her
gesture.
mother
Yes.
grew weary of me and left.
oh, so you're like the guy from episode 9 of Lit Anime.
I don't want her to grow up needy, Mr. Wright.
It's a gesture of nervousness.
That is why I began my other occupation. Interesting.
By the way,
Forgeries.
By the way, what kind of sorcery do you use to achieve that hairdo?
That's what we call bedhead. Don't look at me with those eyes. I know what it is that I do. But I do it for my daughter.
promise.
Actually, she's the one that does it.
We don't know that yet. Well, in the past, more than half of the paintings they bring me are stolen. And who knows what my copies are used for. But some of your works aren't paintings, correct?
That is correct.
You may not believe me when I tell you this. But that was my first work, outside painting. Oh. What? To think it would be used as evidence in a murder trial.
How dare they?
Wanted to
I
get
never
Paul
even
Phoenix fired,
imagined
if
the
anything.
possibility. And now we know why he definitely had a strong sense of guilt and why he was happy when he heard that the Right Anything Agency was back in its lawyering feet.
Why'd you do it then?
And why did you take the job?
Money?
I was well paid. Very well paid. I think he feels worse about it than I do. You know, I really wish that Drew Misham wasn't the victim of the current case. Like, dude, this guy already has a more interesting character than a lot of folks. Dude is down on his luck, but turns to forgeries that his own daughter makes, just for the sake of supporting them because it's his only option. Because that sadly is a thing with the world, as even Person of Interest has shown us. Yeah, sometimes good people do have to resort to rather unsavory methods to make money, even though you think they'd be owed something. Let's not even get into how much military folk don't even see a dime for their services at the worst of times. Sorry, but it's not going to be quite so easy.
It's never that easy.
He's trying to forget what he made. Well, I can't blame him. I have to get to the bottom of this. Looks like I'll have to remind him.
Today I will remind them.
Let's see. Do I have that evidence
Can't
from...
be my career, you asshole.
Let's see. What have I got? Let's see. Some evidence from the present right now. There we go. Your work. Don't try to pretend you've forgotten. Sure, all you did was make a copy. But that copy might have destroyed the life of an innocent man.
Yeah, that's wrong.
I'm responsible too, which is why I have to know. And you have to tell me. For the sake of mankind here. I knew it would be difficult to escape this. Maybe I shouldn't have gone too far with mankind, but if that gets him to talk, then let's talk.
I was expecting the Magatama to show up there.
Yeah.
Give it some time.
There's always a little ellipsis and then bomb.
Well then, ready to tell me about this work you did? It was unlike anything I had attempted before. I guess it would be a little different from paintings.
Yeah.
That is not what I mean. Oh? In all my previous work, it sufficed to create a copy. This wasn't a copy? What the heck's going on here? The client gave me two things that day. The first was a sample page, as reference. A second, a printed document. I can only surmise was written by my client. So you used the real writing as a reference to reproduce what the client wrote. Yes. As I said, it was my first job of that nature. Broadening your horizons, huh? So, who was your client?
Client, patient,
I guess that's where the Cyclops shows up then.
As I said in court, I do not know. Really? Even for such a suspicious request? If it was me, I'd want to know as much as I could about the requester. I never met them. Not personally. I
communicated with them over Skype.
There you go.
Ah! A Cyclops! Of course.
Now, I always read that as Phoenix saying it in a more, Cyclops.
It seems you're still hiding something.
Do we have anything that we need, Dwibs?
Something about this work.
Yeah, we do.
Alright.
Mm.
Come on, mate.
You know, it really is interesting how... Oh, never mind, let's do this.
Magaton time. Hiding something.
Let's hear it then. What are you hiding from me, Mr. Misham?
A couple of things, apparently.
I'm sorry, but I really don't know. I never met the client.
You must have had some hints as to who he was.
True. When I asked about the client's name, there were no Cyclops in sight. It's often specific that way. Regardless, you're hiding something. What, my locker number? You have to be, otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. Why are you doing this to me? Oh, you can see them too?
I mean, you owe Phoenix, seriously.
Yeah. Well, I've made my stand. No backing down now. So, what's Misham hiding? I can pretty much piece together what it is from what you've said. What is it then? You really weren't done with filmmaking after the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, were you, Mr. Connery? And aside from that, you told me about what you knew about the client. And I couldn't see any Cyclops!
What the bloody hell are Cyclops?
Yeah.
Oh wait, this bit. Psycholox? Is that some sort of asylum security? Or a new hairdo, perhaps? It's funny because Edgeworth also calls them Psycholox. In fact, believe it or not, on the soundtrack listing, this theme, the remix theme is called Psycholox. Who was your client?
We just had this dialogue.
As I said in court, I do not know. Well, it's something we gotta press on him. Really? Even for such a suspicious request? If it was me, I'd want to know as much as I could about the requester.
Well, the request wasn't for him.
I never met them. Not personally, Not personally. Those words triggered the psych lock!
Dun, dun, dun.
Again with the psycho locks. Now I really must know what they are.
Don't change the subject.
You wouldn't believe us if we told you.
So you didn't meet with the client. And I'm not mentally insane, I assure you. But someone else did.
It's a lie detector from beyond the grave. That's all you need to know.
No, they will be actually interested if Maya
So
turned out to
it's
be Phoenix's imaginary friend.
It's like it's like in Black Mirror Bandersnatch, where if you choose a particular option, you have to try and explain Netflix to a guy from the late 1980s.
But I'm afraid you've lost me.
There goes one of them.
Yeah, well, I didn't come here to talk about psych locks. As long as I come to the right conclusion, it doesn't matter how I got there. And your conclusion is?
I don't know.
The real forger behind this wasn't you, Mr. Misham. Poppycock! I don't know what you're talking about. That's my work, I'll tell you. Made here in my studio. Who else could it have been but me?
I can hazard a few guesses.
Same.
That's the real question, isn't it? If the forger wasn't you,
It was your twin brother.
then I don't have many other people to choose from, now do I? The real forger at Drew Studio is...
Apollo.
Apollo Justice.
Apollo Justice!
A guy you haven't even met yet.
Man...
It will actually be brilliant. The teacher protagonist is also the final villain.
That would be interesting, actually. The real forger is your daughter, Vera Misham, isn't it?
Wrong.
Ridiculous! My daughter's only 12 years old, Mr. Wright. And I know a prosecutor who became a prosecutor at the age of 13. Blow me. I've always been more one for landscapes, not surrealism. Nice comeback, but you're shaking in your boots. Risky. I've got you now. I have you now. The only two people with access to this studio are you and your daughter. The Cyclops tell me you're not the forger.
The Cyclops also tell me that I must be insane if I can hear their voices, but that's another thing entirely.
Which makes your daughter the only possibility. Ahem. I feel very much on the verge of going psycho-lock myself.
This is starting to become a
Okay.
pantomime.
Oh yes, it is. Oh, no. You mean like that?
Yep.
Anyway, magnifying glasses diary.
I don't know how you knew, but you're right, Mr. Wright.
The magical invisible locks told me.
The one who made this page was my daughter, Vera, not I. She's only 12. A genius, you might call her.
A prodigy, if you will.
Is that what they're calling it nowadays? A precious little girl outshining her father.
Yeah, have you heard about that prosecutor who got the gig at 13?
There's been a lot of that going around recently. You know, it's an interesting way how Drew Misham here cancels out Zak Gramarye. Zak Gramarye is technically, and very technically, an innocent man, but a terrible father. Drew Misham is a guy guilty of very illegal stuff, but is actually a pretty good father and has good motivations. It's quite an interesting way of contrast. Drafting tools and analytical devices I bought when they became necessary.
Well, you said it yourself. Good people sometimes have to do bad things to support themselves.
Yeah, which is why I'm kind of sad that Drew Misham ends up being the victim. I like him. They're my little girl's playthings now. Ah, do I detect a bit of fatherly pride? Maybe I'll have that someday. Who am I kidding? I already do. Iris will love to hear about this, I'm sure. So, Vera was the one who made this page. Would she know who the client was then? Actually, a client came once.
He came when he heard I beat the elite.
Here, to this studio. Whoa, well, well! Someone else has been in the studio now. What?
Have they?
Oh, why didn't you say so sooner?
Because they didn't ask.
But their face was covered, and they did not want to talk to me. Oh, clever.
Really clever.
So they talked to your daughter. Business-wise. I will speak only with the artist, the client told me.
No wonder this little girl's so shy. She's sheltered by her father, and she has to deal with a lot of really shady people.
Doesn't help that it's the only way to pay the bills or they're out on the streets. Okay, what do I do now?
Well, we're gonna take a break for now, Phoenix.
Maybe I should talk to her father a bit more? Or maybe I should go somewhere else in the time stream and get some evidence. Or is it time to turn my attention to Vera?
Well, we'll make our epic decision in the next part, so we'll see you then.
Ta-ta!
So yeah.
Yeah.